Welcome all of you fellow arcanists out there to the Frith Guild Podcast, where we explore an amazing world full of mystical creatures and their partners. Our hosts are Eric Smith and Scott Wareham, and they'll be your guides along this journey through plague and skyships. So grab your Eldrin, strap on your swords, and get ready to defend the innocent from evil. Throughout this series, if you have not caught up to the chapters being discussed today, we urge you to hit the pause button, grab your copy of this wonderful book, and catch up. We'll be here when you get back. After discovering the map to the Capera Labyrinth in Theus Ben Rover's office, Adelgis suggests that the restorative magic might be a better option to save Volke from the arcane plague than his father. Volke agrees, then, while waiting 3 weeks for the grotto to open, spends that time attempting to master his Eclipse Aura under the tutelage of Jose Blackwater. Anything to stay busy and keep his mind from spiraling into depression. After all, it was Jose who taught Captain Delvin to master his hurricane aura. But before you turn to our story, a piece of advice from the series. Step 12 on the Pillar of Ruma says knowledge. Without it, we fear our surroundings without hope to understand. So with that, let's get into chapters 26 through 30 of Plague Arcanist.
Welcome back to the Frith Guild Podcast. I'm your host, Eric.
I'm co-host Scott.
And today we'll be going over chapters 26 through 30 of Plague Arcanist, fourth book in Shami Stovall's Frith Chronicles series. We do want to thank everybody for listening. We also like to have everyone show us some love by liking, commenting, sharing, reading, whatever you're listening to. And we also want to make a mention that the Frith Chronicles Wiki link is in the description, along with the link for the Capital Station Discord server. So you can go over there and join on there. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview with John Stovall last week, and we're definitely excited about having that tabletop game as well. And with that, we'll get into chapter 26, Equalizer. Starting off, Jose thoroughly enjoys almost anything magic, and this is something I really like about Jose. It doesn't matter what the magic is, it's magic. Moonbeam actually goes as far as saying that their fathers are very similar.
And I know he means this as a compliment, but considering how much everyone hates Theon, I don't know that it comes off as one.
Right? Like, you wanna think that this is a good thing. So hopefully that's what Moonbeam's intending. Jose takes everybody as far as Fane, Adelgis, and Volke out into the desert and gives them their first lesson on auras. Jose describes creating an aura like filling a cup, which is the Arcanist, with water, which is their magic, until it overflows. Volke is extremely excited to learn about this new magic, as Zelfrey really wouldn't entertain the possibility of or the thought of teaching him how to create an aura.
And one of the reasons that Zelfrey is hesitant is that they mentioned that it is possible to create an aura incorrectly and essentially just drain magic from the caster. So it is something that is dangerous if done incorrectly, and also trying to do it in the heat of battle can be very difficult.
And I think we got an example of that back in Colosseum Arcanist with, I want to say Nero, but it's not Nero. Oh gosh.
It's not Nero, and I can't remember his name for the way it's.
The name you guys are trying to think of is Lucian Nellick.
He tries to create an aura, and I think we see that he doesn't do it correctly. So obviously there's a right and a wrong way to do this. We want to learn the correct way properly. The first thing Jose says they have to do is they have to start by emptying their minds. And Volke is like, oh my gosh, this is going to be easy. Too easy. And he sits there and tries to clear his mind. And he does not do a very good job of this. And anybody that has watched the Harry Potter or knows Harry Potter, when Harry's trying to learn legitimacy, he cannot clear his mind or his emotions. Fane ends up giving Moonbeam his coat because Moonbeam is like shivering and freezing. And I'm wondering, because Fane can augment Moonbeam's ability to be cold resistant. Why didn't he just give him augmentation?
Just not as cute, You just giving someone your coat, keep them a little warm.
Aww. you got a good point there. So this whole time, Moonbeam is sitting there trying to clear his mind, and Volke is just He's the prime example of like you tell somebody to not think of a pink elephant, instantly thinks of a pink elephant, but then he's just like, I'm gonna think about literally everything I can possibly think about right now. Moonbeam is just like, Volk, stop. I'm trying to clear my mind, which means you need to clear your mind because I can hear your mind not being clear.
I have no idea how he is supposed to achieve this. Like, when you can hear other people's thoughts, how do you clear out your own mind?
Exactly. Like, I almost feel like Adele just needs to wait. I I can only imagine he has to be able to, at some point, maybe later on, when he's a stronger arcanist with the ethereal wealth magic, that he could probably shut the mind reading off at will, so he's not constantly hearing everybody around him. And if he can't, like, oh my gosh, I would want to be a recluse. Like, I could not handle that all of my life.
It's too much honesty that I don't really want to encounter in a day-to-day life. Like, I don't want to hear all the things that people don't share with the world.
Right. I don't think anybody needs to know most of that stuff anyways. So we see that the three of them are working on this for about a week now, and Volk isn't seeing any improvement, but Fane, of all the three of them, is actually able to clear his thoughts. And I don't know if this is a Fane just being like, oh, Volk, you can't do it. Well, I can.
Team on my back.
Like, the student has become the master. They come back to the airship, and everybody is pretty much like waiting for Volk and Moonbeam and Fane to get back on the ship. And even the surgeon is standing outside of their room, their storeroom where they're sleeping, in their quarters, and she's got a plate full of food. And Volk's like, nah, man, I'm good. I can't stomach any more of this. I'd rather spend money that mom gave me to get fresh food out in the market in Nora because it's just disgusting. Granted, Wraith has had no issue with this whatsoever. But again, I can only imagine what their food tasted like.
They've become garbage disposals.
So we fast forward 2 more weeks, and Volk is further away from clearing his mind and his thoughts than he was before. And he goes to see his dad, and he asks Jose about his mother, a Rona. And I didn't stutter when I said that, as trying to, a Rona.
It's a great.
Shammy, I'm sorry.
I think about.
Right. For all those that are aware of the Key and Peele skit of Aaron, so I'm sorry, Shammy. It's just Jose did give Volk a really nice quote that I actually really was surprised when I read it. Jose says, "Memories are to cherish, not to dwell on. You need to treat them as gifts and not as something to return to." Again, just these little tidbits of information, little things and sayings that Volk can go by. I'm sure he could probably make this into a pillar step if he really wanted to.
It feels like a pillar step.
Jose gives Volk a pretty BA birthday present because it is getting close to Volk's 17th birthday. And remember, he was only 15 when he bonded with Luther. Like, he was of age at 15. Here we are 2 years later, and all of this has happened already. He's fought Ruma. He's fought the Dread Pirate Callisto. He's fought in the tournament. Now he's fighting for his life at 17 years old. Like, how crazy is this? So Jose gives Volk a present to kind of top off and make up for lost birthdays. He gives Volk a flintlock pistol that only requires bullets. It does not require powder, and it does not require anything else other than just the bullets.
This is just such an American, like, coming of age gift. Like, you're almost a man. Here's your gun.
Did not everybody get a 12 gauge at their 12th birthday? So Volk is examining this pistol, and he notices that there is a name engraved onto it, and it is named Equalizer. And this is a trinket. Along with this gun or this pistol, Volk actually gets an additional gift, which are bullets in order to fire the pistol. But these bullets are very special because they actually have manticore venom in with lead shot. So if he shoots and hits something, anything magical is going to stop for just a few seconds. But a few seconds is a very long time in a fight. On the final day that Volk is waiting, he could not sleep. And they wake up and they get ready to go into the maze.
And that brings us to chapter 27, which is Into the Maze. Devlin kicks things off and pulls up his rock aura, which creates a sandstorm and is driving the whole town of New Nora back inside. The group does have a trinket with them that causes the winds to avoid them, so they have this little bubble of protection that they can use to make their way into the town and then venture down into the grotto. Once they get there, Vedika says that she essentially wants to go through the maze on her own first, because that way she will have completed the trial of worth and there's no questioning whether she's truly deserving of bonding. So she's going to go ahead, and then the group is going to follow behind her and complete the trial and the challenges on their own as well, just making sure they don't interfere with her.
I love that Moonbeam is kind of like, hey, look, do not touch anything. So touch nothing except for the lamp.
They're very, very specific instructions. Once they get into the maze, it does branch into 7 paths, and they do hear kind of this constant sound of the maze actually shifting. So this really reminded me of the Maze Runner, where every day the maze is shifting a little bit, and they're trying to map their way and make it through the maze, in time and following the correct path for that day.
I love that you thought of that, because as soon as you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the Maze Runner.
It feels like it. It was someone stole from someone there. I'm sure there's been no other labyrinth throughout history. Just those 2 series use it.
Right.
Thane actually brings up as they're going through it that he wants to try it with no magic, so essentially without using any special arcanist abilities, just to see would they be able to pass it.
Because why would we want to make things too easy to do this?
I know it seems like something you don't want to make unnecessarily hard. Like, people get injured through this trial. Like, we're just going to put ourselves through that extra ordeal. They are lucky because Adelgis is able to keep tabs on Vedika, so he can pretty much tell once she's completed a trial and moved on to the next room. So they're able to, as soon as she completes something, go into that chamber and attempt it on their own. And the first trial they come through is jumping over the spiked pit, and there's kind of a little platform in the middle that you can step on and for making the final jump. And one thing that Adelgis does bring up is that the trials are meant to be both mental and physical, representing the duality of the Kepra. So for every trial they go through, there should be a way to achieve it physically, as well as kind of a mental path that you could take as well to get past it. When they go and actually kind of take the first look at this platform in the middle, they notice that it falls as soon as it's touched. So as soon as something lands on it, it falls away and kind of disappears into the void.
I would imagine staying there thinking, oh crap. Because I think Karna went first and it fell into the pit. Like, wait a minute, but how did Betha get across? Like, oh my gosh, like this is only a one-shot thing.
Yeah, you get one chance at it. And one of the cool things about it, we see Karna go first. We see Vedika had gone to the room before. Kepra had this power of restoration, and that impacts the maze as well. So pretty much anything in the maze that is, destroyed or impacted in any way will return to its initial state after a period of time. So very cool way that, they're able to go through these challenges right after Vedika and still have the full challenge to go through. So the group ends up going, and they kind of are all jumping across, and finally they get to Adelgis, and he says, there's got to be a mental way to figure this out, and finds the tiniest little ledge that goes across the side wall and inches his way across.
So they get across, and they're talking, and Felicity is brought out of the light, because Adelgis wants her to be able to see everything too, since they're doing this as mortals, and Felicity's just sitting there like stroking his hair or playing with his hair.
It's a weird image, just this little like floating seashell just rubbing along.
I wonder if he just like stop it, Mom, stop playing with my hair. And this leads us into chapter 28, Riddles and Traps. Karna had to say it shouldn't be that hard. And of course, the next room they go into is a riddle. And granted, Vethica does take a while with this riddle. I think it's a solid 10 minutes that they waited for Vethica to get it. And as they're out waiting, Fane comments on Karna's attire, which is basically leggings and a wrap around her bathing suit area. She wore this specific outfit because she doesn't know what she needs to transform into, so she transforms into Fane.
And Fane is really, really uncomfortable at this, and I have to say I would definitely be uncomfortable as well, but he specifically mentions that, it's uncomfortable because it reminds him of his brother, and, he's missing his brother when he sees it.
Not to mention she's like feeling his body while she's in his body.
We'll leave that to the side. That would also be uncomfortable as well.
Well, and how much we know that she likes Volke, I wonder if she's ever turned into Volke. Like, she probably has out of curiosity.
She has to have. Like, I would if I were her. Like,
right. Again, curiosity. Vethica gets the answer to the riddle that's in the next room, and Adele just says we can go in with the riddle. I'm going to read out the riddle, and I want to see who all can get it. If you can comment on Facebook, on the Facebook page at Frith Guild Podcast, please comment the answer if you can get it. Don't cheat, please. And if you don't remember it, please don't go back and look in the book. So I'm going to read it out a couple times just so that everybody gets it. So the riddle is, I'm only seen when your eyes are closed. I'm fun, frightening, never composed. I'm only seen when your eyes are closed. I'm fun, frightening, never composed. And this is something that was very impressive as Volke gets it almost immediately. Vethica is standing on the other side of this wrought iron gate where the riddle is put on. I imagine she's like, really? It took me 10 minutes and you got it in like that? Like, wow, thanks. The next room is a room full of tiles, and Vethica goes through it within 60 seconds. Fane steps on a tile twice, and all these darts start coming out of the walls, and it's definitely a lead up. You can hear that they're going to come, and of course, Volke, being the protector, covers up Karna from getting hit by the darts, while Luther is just standing there, just letting all of the darts hit off of him. Like it's nothing.
I'm armor. This is his day. My time to shine.
What? And it reminds me of this parody of Skyrim, and it's like trying to figure out one of the puzzles there. If you don't do it right and you put the claw on, you get hit by darts. That's pretty much what it is. You get higher level, the darts bounce off of you. Volke is very, very particular about cleaning his darts off, though, that got stuck in his arm. He made sure all of the blood was cleaned off of them before he released them. They actually ended up going back in the wall and kind of resetting. Basically, the way to solve this room was to not touch the same colored tile twice. There are 3 colors. There's white, there's black, and there's sandstone. As long as you don't touch 3 of those at one time or consecutively, then you can get all the way across without having to sprint like Karna or Vethica did. Volke is starting to panic in the next room, and Moonbeam can feel Volke's agony and reminds him he needs to start calming down more, and that this isn't normal for Volke. And again, we're seeing more and more of this, the plague creeping in and affecting him emotionally. So the last room in this trial that they have to do is another riddle room. And as soon as the door closes, it slams, the floors split apart in the middle, they slant downward, and Volke shadow steps immediately because he doesn't know what's going on. He grabs somebody in particular that I know that, now this reiterates the fact that we know who he's going to save in a fire, and it was Karna.
He's just always protecting her.
I feel like Moonbeam and Fane would be kind of jealous right now because they're like, oh my gosh, we're not his favorite anymore.
I would be. You've been by his side for how long? And he's ditching you for some girl?
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta stay strong, man.
Remember your day once.
So again, with the riddle that they have, and we actually have 2 riddles in this, we're going to ask that you comment on Facebook with the answers to this if you can guess it. Again, don't cheat. Go back in the book. If you remember, if you can figure it out, put it on Facebook and tell us the answer. First riddle is a house for the useless, forever prone, many familiar faces, yet always alone. And the whole time these riddles are going on, they're slowly being filled up with water. So, not just sitting there nice and calmly. Like they have a time limit here.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. Why bother? Almost to the end, it gets easier towards the end, right?
Usually.
So the second riddle, as soon as the first one is answered, the second riddle comes out. What has its strength measured in desire? It provides light in moments most dire. An unfulfilled wish taking you higher. Again, whoever designed these riddles, like they're 2 sentences, 3 sentences. That's not a riddle.
It's short. It's tough.
After they solve both these riddles and everything is all hunky dory again, the door opens to the room where the Kepras are being held. Moonbeam can hear Vethika's thoughts and know that the Kepra are not happy on the other side of that door.
It does bring us to chapter 29, which is the Sands of Life and Soul. As they're preparing to go into the room, Luther says that he wants to merge. Volke says he would rather just talk, so he's going to try and reason his way, with the Kepra and see if they can figure out what's going on. When they get into the room, there's 5 Kepra there, and they're sitting on 5 different pillars. And kind of the head Kepra is named Gamal, and he thinks that Vethika is lying. And especially when Volke comes into the room, they think that Volke actually works for the one who's been killing them because he's been tainted. So they seem to be familiar with the plague in some sort, and whatever's been harassing them has also been involved with the plague. Gamal then goes on to attack them, so he's blasting light around. Volke is shadow stepping with Vethika, trying to get away from it. Vethika ends up throwing her dagger. Volke loads up the equalizer and is kind of, at this point, doubting Jose's advice. So Jose said, it does not need anything else but the bullets. Volke's wondering if it's going to work. He ends up loading one of the bullets and ends up threatening the younger Kepra. So holds the gun to the head and says, if anything happens, I'm going to kill off the babies. He does not shoot them, thankfully. He ends up shooting them all. In a way to sort of end the battle quickly, he draws retribution, and as soon as he does, all the young Kepra are gasping. They seem to sense the power and retribution that only the plague-ridden could feel before. Volke harnesses all of his plague-ridden energy and slices through Gamal, and the sword cuts clean in half with no resistance.
After this, and for real for a second, like that should give you some kind of insight of what the sword can do. They have a really tough exoskeleton.
Yeah.
And he just sliced with no resistance. And again, words mean things. Like that's how crazy awesome this sword is. And even the Kepra that are left, the other 4 Kepra that are there, like, oh my gosh, he carries a weapon made from the end of times. What is that supposed to mean?
It's haunting. Whatever he imbued with it is very powerful. As soon as their skirmish ends, Volke does feel appalled with himself. He downwritten, he realized he kind of rushed into things and kind of angrily killed Gamal. Adele just does comfort him, kind of with the fact that, hey, Kepra do get restored after they die, so you didn't fully kill one off. It's going to kind of reincarnate as a younger version. One of the other Kepra there, Aket, does offer to bond with Vethika. And then they do notice that Gamal, when he died, changed into 2 pillars of sand. So you have a tan sand that comes through, and then white sand that comes through. And the Kepra say that a man has actually been coming in and stealing that sand away from them, and that once that sand is stolen, and if that sand is used in any way, at that point the Kepra can't actually recover.
In chapter 30, Plague Hunting, Volke realizes that the 2 sands that he stole from Thiesen's office is essentially what is the Kepras, and he takes the sands out, releases it onto the ground to allow the another Kepra to reform, and it reforms immediately. What a monster that Thiessen is. The pink sand is a lot more significant, I see, because it heals the soul. It worked for Adelgis, and we love that Adelgis got better, but to the cost that he literally murdered this Kepra that will never be able to come back again in order to bring Adelgis back. Again, it's a tragedy in itself, and we're glad that Adelgis is okay, but we remember that he used the tan sand just to heal Adelgis after the surgery for removing the abyssal leech. Just because he didn't want to wait around to let it heal or find somebody to have it heal for him. So Thiessen has not only known, but has been killing these Kepra and to use on his own this whole time.
And it comes to light that he's the one that tampered with the maids just so that he exclusively has access to them.
And to give some perspective, we only have 6 Kepra left out of the 112 original Kepra that they started with. So just the sheer amount of Kepra that he has killed and is completely almost driven extinct because of this. And we know that they are actually being killed. From what I interpreted is once the Kepra dies and somebody uses its sand, the pillar that it was on collapses and disintegrates essentially. Mystical creatures are able to feel the magic or the power coming from the sword that Volke has and essentially the bones that he had found. So because the Kepra can feel it as well. Luther can feel it, but no other arcanist can except for Vethica, because Volke essentially passes the sword around just to see who can feel it.
Who can lift Thor's hammer?
Sam handing over Mjolnir, you know?
Yeah.
I don't. Is this a second bonding thing, or is this because of the plague? Well, I guess. Well, never mind. Vethica wasn't second bonded. So yeah, this must have been just the corrupted by the plague that can feel the power from these bones. Totally didn't realize that, by the way. Sorry. They realized that if they leave these baby Kepra in the Grotto Labyrinth, that Thiessen will probably be back. He'll probably go steal some more of their sand. So what they decide is that they're going to take off with all of the baby Pokemon and allow Adelgis and Volke basically take them with them to turn to the Frith Guilds. That way, at least somebody can monitor that they're going to be safe. Adelgis and Volke kind of hang back for a minute to have a quick chat, even though the maze moves every hour. So, you know, they should probably be out of there. Plus, again, we have Captain Devlin keeping this hurricane aura up so that they can get in and out of the labyrinth without being caught. Adelgis realizes that the Kepra magic will actually not have any effect or anything, will not do anything for Volke.
And the reasoning he has behind this is essentially she's too newly bonded. He was hoping that there would be either an older Kepra or some sort of artifact that they could use, but given how everybody struggles with their magic once they're newly bonded, she's not going to be able to learn the restorative magic in time to help Volke.
And this is one of those very hard to grasp, hard to swallow pills of this one thing that we waited 3 weeks for. We decided to not go after Thiessen, and it unfortunately is not going to play out for Volke how they wanted it to. Adelgis does say that he was kind of hoping that there would be some kind of like artifact or something of that similar sort that would be helpful for Volke, but unfortunately, it's just Thiessen being Thiessen, going after all of the Kepras. Now, we talked about the labyrinth feeling a lot like Maze Runner, and before you mentioned that, I was actually thinking about it as the beneath the well section in Majora's Mask, as far as the way the layout is and everything. But I would say Maze Runner definitely fits a lot better for how everything moves around and that kind of thing. So I just see it as creepy and got give to standing at the entrances, the doors, and you got to give them fish or something like crazy like that.
Offerings to please the gods.
He just doesn't get a mirror shield at the end of it. I mean, the Kepra do pretty much evoke sunlight, so there's that. So, as if there wasn't enough to be thinking about as they're exiting the Grotto Labyrinth, none other than Jevil happens to be strolling by with his new trinket that detects plague-ridden things. And of course, it is going off on his wrist, and Jevil realizes that Volke is plague-ridden. Now, typically with the bounty, they would kill plague-ridden arcanists and then bring them back to collect in on this bounty, but Jevil has a serious bone to pick with Zelfrey, and I couldn't imagine why. Like, like what the heck? Did Zelfrey like embarrass you in front of a lady, or like I don't even know. Like, what did he do to you?
He wants to. He really wants to prove himself that he's better than Zelfrey.
Jevil essentially wants to catch Volke, take him alive so that he can lure Master Zelfrey to Jevil so that Jevil can fight Zelfrey and make a chain out of with his name on it, which we all know wouldn't happen. Like, why? What is so? Why are you so adamant about Zelfrey? Did Zelfrey insult your mother's cow?
He just thinks he's cute or something.
And with that, we end this week's episode. As far as the bestiary section goes, again, we are still waiting for confirmation that the bestiary is out to those Kickstarter hands that and give them an opportunity to take a look first. So we're still waiting on that. Once we get that, we'll do some updated bestiary sections with mystical creatures we've already seen.
Eric, Scott, and I want to thank everyone for listening today. We post a new episode every Wednesday morning at 11 Eastern, 10 Central, and 8 Pacific Standard Time. We are on all podcasting platforms and are also on YouTube as well for video. After the additional episode airs, we post chapter-by-chapter videos every day in a smaller, easier-to-digest format. We do want to give a special shout-out to the final member of our team, Dan Mackison, one of the admins for the Frith Chronicles Wiki, link listed below, and doing his best to keep everything running smoothly behind the scenes. If you want to reach out to us, you could email us at frithguildpod@gmail.com or on Facebook or any other social media by searching for Frith Guild Podcast. Just to remind everybody, we have links to everything in the description below on both the podcast and YouTube. Scott, do you have anything else you want to add this week?
Just a plug for live stream coming up, tabletop game.
Woo woo. That will be coming up, so we'll have that posted, I believe, at the end of this book, and so that way if you don't get a chance to sit in the live stream, you will be able to see it later on. All right, well, thanks everybody, and see you next week.